I failed. Why do we falter? So that we can learn to pick ourselves up.
These times where you just think about things, just be alone and think about things, are so rare these days. And I think during those rare times is when you really get to understand what you actually believe or don't believe.
I've trained 99% of my life alone. No one pat me on the back. I did all of the work alone.
The responsibility that you have and is isolating, and the weight is isolating. So I think the worst part of that is the feeling like nobody really understands, and sometimes falling into the spaces of like just, you know, being alone, feeling alone.
The one companion that's always going to be with you is yourself. And I think the first thing we have to do is we have to get ourselves to the point where we don't necessarily need a companion.
There's times where you're gonna have to do it alone. There's not gonna be any team support. There's not gonna be any family support. There's not gonna be any friend support. There's gonna be times where you've got to go and do it yourself, and you gotta do it alone. And those are the times that make a difference. Those are the times that count. Those are the times where you have to dig deep yourself to get the job done. And if you can make that happen, you will win.
Nobody knows but you. You can't get advice on what you should do with your life, right? Nobody knows what you are. Like even sometimes you don't really even know what you are. You got to take your shot. And it's like, as much as you want people to agree and you want the people around you to be supporting your dreams and all, it's not going to be like that all the time. You got to do it alone. And people will help you, and when you get the ball rolling, people will jump on. But if you don't believe, nobody else is going to believe.
Discipline your thoughts. Stop thinking too much. Don't go into the past. Don't go into the future. Be in the present. Why? Because only then it's possible that the mind is free, the capacity is free, and now you can completely immerse into whatever you are doing. And this means you have arrived.
Last night I had a dream. When I got to Africa, I had one hell of a rumble. I had to beat Tarzan's behind first for claiming to be the king in the jungle. For this fight, I've wrestled with alligators. I've tussled with a whale. I done handcuffed lightning and put thunder in jail. You know I'm bad. I have murdered a rock. I injured a stone. And I hospitalized a brick. I'm so bad I make medicine sick. I'm so fast, man, I can run through a hurricane and don't get wet. When George Foreman meets me, he'll pay his debt. I can drown a drink of water and kill a dead tree. Wait till you see Muhammad Ali.
Movement, good exercise, good music, good clothes, good food. These are the things I love. Competition. I love competition. I love it. It's getting harder to find it. It's getting harder and harder to find it. But I fucking love it when I find it.
What's amazing about the human mind is that it becomes your new norm. Like, to think that I can run 200 miles, 240 miles, and that becomes like running 50. I never thought that was possible. This is why I'm always pushing that limit, because I know that within pushing these limits, there's always more. So I end up doing like almost like back-to-back 200-mile runs. When the 200-mile race, 240-mile race was hard at once, it became something that was very easy after I figured it out. So that's why that happened.
No one's coming. No one. You're only ever going to do the things that you feel like doing right now or that feel good right now, unless you understand that you've got to parent yourself, you got to push yourself. You're not going to make your dreams come true. You're just not. We're not wired that way. You weren't born that way, you weren't that way when you were growing up, and you're certainly not that way as an adult. And there's a tremendous amount of liberation that comes when you accept the fact that you're always going to need to give yourself a push.
Your better future is a dream for yourself and for your family. Where do you want to go? What do you want to do? What do you want to be? What do you want to see? You've got to dream dreams. There's a Bible phrase that says, without dreams and visions, people perish. You've got to have something to go for that inspires the heart and the soul. Dreams.
A lot of people will say, I do work hard. I'm working my ass off. I'm working my socks off. I'm like doing everything I can. But I think what's really important is that in the book, you start with have a clear vision.
Yeah.
And I agree. I think there are a lot of people who are working really, really hard. And it's almost like if that hard work was channeled toward a clear vision, as you say, then that hard work pays off.
Right.
Because otherwise, a lot of people just working hard, getting stressed, putting on pressure.
We had nobody anyway, motherfucker. Look around you. There was no fucking team. It was you. There was no weight loss program or mom and dad waking you up saying you can do it, you can be better, trying to build belief. You built belief when you had nothing. Rock bottom.
The truth is, whatever game you play in life, sometimes you're going to lose. A point, a match, a season, a job. It's a roller coaster with many ups and downs. And it's natural when you're down to doubt yourself and to feel sorry for yourself. And by the way, your opponents have self-doubt too. Don't ever forget that. But negative energy is wasted energy. You want to become a master at overcoming hard moments. That is, to me, the sign of a champion. The best in the world are not the best because they win every point. It's because they know they'll lose again and again and have learned how to deal with it. You accept it, cry it out if you need to, and then force a smile. You move on, be relentless, adapt and grow, work harder, work smarter. Remember,
you gotta put yourself in a hellacious situation. It's a lifestyle. How are you gonna react? How are you gonna react? Like all that training goes out the door when you're in the cold water and you're fucking miserable and it's the first hour of 130 hours of Hell Week and that first wave goes over your head and you're the coldest you've been in your life and your mind goes from hour 1 to hour 130. All that fucking self-talk and shit, dude, you ain't thinking about that. You think about getting the fuck out of here. But if you live this shit on a daily basis and you know how to calm your mind down, the self-talk will help. All that stuff will help. But usually we react. We have pain, we have suffering, we react. And we react about, get the fuck out of here. We gotta go. It's those people who are able to control that fucking feeling of fucking flight and say, no, there's a way through this. It's not gonna be here forever. I'm not cold right now. I went through 3 of them. I'm not cold now. I'm in a nice warm studio with you. You gotta think about that shit. The shit's gonna end.
Felt like a lot was getting to me with a lot of pressure. Felt like things were just kind of hard and tough and I wanted to just quit, to be honest. I felt like I'd lost a lot of faith in myself and it was getting really hard to just push through. And I didn't quit. Obviously we're here today, but this morning after prejudging, I had that same cry in the bathroom, but this one was a cry of gratitude and pride that I had pushed through and gotten through that. And it's these moments, it's this journey, and like I felt this before having the trophy around my neck. It's the journey, it's the experience, it's knowing that you pushed past times where you wanted to quit. And you got shit done. You pushed through it. So to everyone out there whose dreams are scaring you, whose dreams make you want to quit, just don't quit. It's good. Your dreams should be big, they should be scary. Just keep pushing through. I have this thing I say, champion mentality. It's not about winning, it's not about a trophy, it's about having no quit. It's about giving everything you have so that when you show up on game day, before the results are over, you're proud of yourself and you know the work you put in.
I was a hard worker on my job. If anybody would have asked me, age 25, Mr. Roney, you a hard worker? I'd have said, yes, I'm a hard worker. Check my record. I work as hard as anybody. And that was true. I was a hard worker. I really was. But see, that was my problem. I was working hard on my job, but I wasn't working hard on myself. And that was my reason for lack of progress.
You got to bring the light. You got to bring the dark. You got to bring the good. You got to bring the bad. You have to have conversations with those skeletons in your closets. They know you better than you know yourself. In order to stand out, in order to fight, many times you have to become that monster. But most individuals, when they become that monster, they don't know how to control it. and they let the monster control them. So it's a learning process. And all those years that you run from that monster underneath your bed, you're actually being taught, can you control that monster, or is that monster going to control you? And then once you recognize that part of that monster or all of that monster is you, that's when you can actually start fulfilling your dreams and living the life that you're meant to live.
Everybody gets one chance to do something great. Most people never take the chance, either because they're too scared or they don't recognize it when it spits on their shoes. This is your big chance, and you shouldn't let it go by.
The only thing that you can do is win so big that all of them constantly compare themselves to you, and then you'll forget they exist. And that's when he said, success is the only revenge. He's like, it's not the best revenge. He's like, it's the only one. There's no other revenge. Because everything else is petty. Everything else does show that you were thinking about these people all day long, which means they win by default. He's like, all you can do is think about your goal and winning. He's like, and when you win, that's when you become so big that they shrink into irrelevance. You cast a shadow that no one even can see them behind you.
This is all about the quitting mind. So what's the quitting mind? So let's say it's day one of a job interview. We all know what that feels like. You have your clothes laid out. You got your food ready to go in the morning. You've been preparing for weeks and weeks and weeks. You show up and you bring your best self. You get the job. Merry Christmas. All right. After a couple months, you start showing up to work a little later. You don't look as good. Your clothes aren't fucking laid out. Your breakfast isn't ready. Your mind's getting softer. We do that shit with everything in life. When New Year's coming up, guess what? Don't have a quitting mind. Repetition every day. Stay hard.
When I said I wanted to be a world champion in bodybuilding, it was impossible. When I said I wanted to get into movies, that was impossible. So it was always impossible. So I felt that we can go and defend ourselves from that and just not listen to the naysayers. But if I start having a plan B, then all of a sudden I'm becoming, in a way, a naysayer to myself.
Wow, yeah, true.
So because that means now that I'm saying, well, maybe this isn't working out. And if it's not working out, we should have a plan B. So to me, this is the most dangerous of all of the naysayers, is me saying no, and it's impossible maybe to myself. So therefore, I felt the best way of handling that is not to have a safety net and not to have a plan B.
We want to be the best amongst the average people. People wonder, how do you stay hungry all the time? Because after I accomplish something, I don't sit back like a lot of guys who graduate buds, graduate this, graduate that. They get comfortable. They wonder why I'm getting weak, man. I don't know, I lost my edge. What's going on? Because once you hit the top of the fucking mountain, guess what happened? I'm good. I'm good, so you wonder why you're falling down now. Because once you reach the top of the mountain, you gotta build a fucking another one. That's mediocrity. There's a lot of people in mediocrity who have a nice resume, but they're one-timers, man. They hit a one-time deal, they busted it open, got a lot of money, but they're good. You're mediocre now, man. What are you doing today, tomorrow, the next day?
In order to really truly learn about yourself and about life, you have to overcome adversity. You have to experience things. And I firmly believe that in order to truly appreciate love, you have to understand and really have felt hate. And to really appreciate camaraderie, you have to feel loneliness. So this is just a part of being a person.
Success is constant movement. Constant movement. Never letting the weight drop until a pain says hello mentality. That's growth. Every single time you pick something up, you pick it up for a purpose. That's why everything has a purpose, everything has a result. We're here to get stronger. In order to get stronger, we must fail. Accept that. Know that who we are right now is not who we are, but where we are. And we're going forward with the belief. Our belief, guys, drives this workout. Believe in the difference you can be. Stop being average when your potential is crying to come outside and be more than that.
Never wait on the right time, because the right time ain't ever coming. All that, when we get my ducks lined up in the row, no you won't. No you won't. Because as you have aspirations, you got to understand that the devil understands your aspirations too. The devil's job is to rob you of your destiny. So that will always be an obstacle. So if you're waiting on the right time, you'll never make the move. You have to go.
I'm a warrior, period. There's a lot of guys that have been in a lot more combat than me. A warrior is not always that. A warrior is a says, hey, I'm here again today. I'm here again tomorrow. I'm gonna be here the next day. I'm 50 years old, I'm still after it. It's a person that puts no limit on what's possible. And that's what got me in trouble a lot.
Champions are never woken up and born into success. They're created, they're mature, they're struggled and weathered through that effort of hard work and dedication and sacrifice to achieve that championship status. It's these moments, these decisions we make on a daily basis. Do we get up early and go for a run? Do we hit the snooze button? Do we go that extra rep in the gym and our body's dying? Do we push past that? All these little things are the inches that add up to be the measure of difference between first place and forever forgotten. Second place. Huge margins. But if you look about your day and all these little moments of life, all these little opportunities are in your wheelhouse. You create them. And later in life, when you're crying because you came up short, stop being so selfish. Look back on your day, examine it, put it under a microscope, and have responsibility for your actions. Those inches you need to be number one then, which is now in the past, are around us every single day.
You're going to have to get to the point where you can wake up and just say, I'm the one. I'm the one that's going to break bondage. I'm the one that's going to create generational wealth. Bro, plenty of people are depending on you, bro, and you're folding. The weight is on your shoulders, bro. You have a task at hand every day that you're not getting done. People need you, dog. If you just sit here and be piss poor every day, knowing that you're the only person who can make this right, but you're also the only person who can fuck this up, that's unfair, bro. I need you to really think about that. It's all on you. See, look, the clock is ticking. The clock never stops ticking. Time don't wait for nobody. So while you sitting here wasting your day away thinking that you deserve tomorrow when you playing with today, that's crazy. Until you realize that you're wasting your life away and that you're not going to be able to get this time back, you're just setting yourself up for failure. And I hope that you can live with that.
And one of the big determining factors in how you feel will be the outcome. I'm not saying that you need to forget about winning, forget about your desires and your goals and just like enjoy the moment under a tree on fucking psilocybin. You still need to go and do the things, but do not derogate how important the actual process and making sure that you enjoy it is. And oddly enough, optimizing for how you feel detaches you from caring about the outcomes, but is the very thing that will drive outcomes the most. And if it doesn't, what do you care because you're enjoying it?
I played to learn something, right? Because I think if you play with a fear of failure, or you play with the will to win, or that supersedes the fear of failure, I think it's a weakness either way, right? Because if you play with the fear of failing, you'll have the pressure on yourself to play, to capitulate to that fear. If you play with the sense of I want to win, then you have the fear of what happens if you don't. But if you find common ground in the middle, in the center, then it doesn't matter. You're unfazed by either, right? And that enables you to really just stay in the moment, stay connected to it, and not feel anything other than what's in front of you. So I try to just be dead center.
The only thing that ever can give you peace in the world where your sleep is pure is when you give it your all. 110% is left there. Work, in the gym, whatever the endeavor at hand is. You leave it all there. That's the only thing that ever counts for peace in the world. If you don't do that, part of your soul's left there. I mean, if you only give it 60%, part of your soul's left there. And you go to sleep, all you can do is think about it. It's kind of like that expression I always tell you guys, burn the midnight oil now. Otherwise, stay awake in the midnight hours wondering what if. It's hard to embark on things. I'm not saying it isn't. Hard to get up and go to work when you're dead tired and you don't want to go. But what's a lot harder is if you don't go to work. You don't try it. And then something happens remarkable you weren't part of. And all you can do is think back and regret, wondering what could have been if I did show up. You can't answer those questions, man. You gotta be present. Whether it's 100% you have, 50%, dead tired, wide awake, you've gotta always be present.
You aren't given any breaks in life. you make them for yourself. We are all being tested in life. While my test is different than yours, you will be tested. And how you face that test and how you overcome that test determines the rest of your life. The one mentality that you must have in life is that regardless of what's in front of you, you still must grind. I'll never be in the Olympics. I'll never be a professional athlete, but still I grind. I fail at most things I do, but still I grind. I don't want to do half the shit I do, but still I grind. And that one day, you see me down a dark alley, run at 1 o'clock in the morning, know one thing. I was grinding. Stay hard.
The idea would be that if you can face the malevolence and you can face the suffering, then that opens the door to your maximal potential. The optimistic part of that is, and this is why it's so useful to peer into the darkness, let's say, the optimistic part of that is that although the suffering is great and the malevolence is deep, your capacity to transcend it is stronger. So what you get out of the most negative viewpoint is the most positive possible consequence. Because one of the things you'd like to know, if you wanted to know something deep about yourself, is that you could face the worst that there was and prevail.
Learn to work harder on yourself than you do on your job. See, it's not what you get by tricks. It's not what you get by demand. It's what you get by performance that counts. Performance comes from inside, not outside.
There's a great feeling in these overcoming these difficult things, because life is never this just constant state of I'm at a 9 all day, and when I'm with my wife I hit 10, yay, and I stay like that. That's not real. And I think that there's a lot of people out there that think somehow or another you're going to get to some place where you're living in silk sheets and you're getting your toes done while someone's dropping grapes into your mouth. I don't want that. I've never wanted that. That guy's not going to be happy. He's going to be bored. An hour into the grapes, you're going to get those fucking grapes away from me. Stop painting my toes. What am I doing in this bed? I got to do something. I'm not stimulated. The human organism, the animal that we are, needs constant stimulation because it evolved trying to find food and escape enemy.
People cap themselves. They look at somebody, and because their mind can't imagine it, they then start talking shit. He has to be doing this, or he has to be doing that. There has to be some trick. There has to be some potion. This is bullshit. No, it's because you cannot allow your mind to open up for the possibility of it can be done, which is why you being people are where they are today. Because you shackled your mind to have limits.
Before you start anything, ask yourself, what is the most valuable use of my time right now? Make a list and say, what is the most valuable use of my time right now? When you get into your car, say, what is the most valuable use of my time right now? When you leave the house or leave the office, say, what is the most valuable use of my time right now? Ask yourself that question over and over and over again. Repeat it and repeat it and repeat it until it's driven into the subconscious mind as a command. And whenever you have a temptation to do something that is small and irrelevant, that command will go, blam, what is the most valuable use of your time right now? And you, ooh, and it'll push you into doing what is the most valuable use of your time. And whenever you're working on the most valuable use of your time, you feel great. You get concentrated effort is a source of energy and enthusiasm. It makes you feel wonderful when you're working on something important, and it makes you feel nothing when you're working on something irrelevant.
Life isn't fair. We have to understand that. It shouldn't be fair. It's a trial ground, it's a testing ground. It's built to make us harder. It's built to make us as strong as we can, to test us, to drive us. So, mentality is the only thing that gets us through life. I was an underdog. We are all underdogs in life. Even the baddest person in the world should think that way. So you should always have I've never arrived mentality. And the can't hurt me mentality is no matter where you come from, the sewer or wherever you think you're from. When I got out of the sewer, I got to the road and looked around and said, can't hurt me. Nothing should be able to hurt you. If you believe that, it starts to become true.
There's a choice that we have to make as people, as individuals. If you want to be great at something, there's a choice that you have to make. We all can be masters at our craft, but you have to make a choice. What I mean by that is inherent sacrifices that come along with that. Family time, hanging out with your friends, being a great friend, right? Being a great son, nephew, whatever the case may be. There's sacrifices that come along with making that decision. I knew that I was not going to be stopped. So at the age of 18, this was my life, right? So you can't possibly become better than me because you're not spending the time on it that I do. Even if you want to spend the time on it, you can't because you have other things. You have other responsibilities that are taking you away from it. So I already won.
Being honest with where you stand and how you feel, it's really giving another person an option and opportunity to be as honest with you. And whatever your fear of that is, of that outcome, is never really as big as what you make it up to be. You know, it's really not that. So I would say maybe just being honest and living with the results. You know, and tomorrow is not promised to anyone, but time will move on. You know, you will move past it. You know. And if tomorrow never comes, at least you can know that you said what you needed to say.
Yeah.
You know?
I don't want to spend time with somebody who's going to be lying to me all the time. Someone who's going to gently tell me the truth about myself. One of the hardest things sometimes for the human to do is get to the point where they stop lying to themselves, where they tell themselves the truth. They speak the truth to themselves. You got to face the reality of who you are. You got to face the reality of what you are. All right? And nobody's going to tell you that like you yourself will tell you that. You want to tell yourself the truth, but you want to tell yourself the truth in understanding and forgiveness.
Hard work looks horrible. It's not motivating. It's not motivating at all. It ain't like Rocky round 14 where he gets knocked down and he goes like this to Apollo Creed. It looks like a man being stuck in a dungeon and there's no fucking way out. But you have the key. But you refuse to use it. And that's nothing motivating about that.
Starting tomorrow, what are you going to do that'll make a change in your life's direction? Good question. What are you going to do starting tomorrow that'll make a difference? Now see, if you don't do something starting tomorrow that'll make a difference, guess what? It's gonna be the same. And see, that way you can guess what the next 5 years are gonna be like. Look at the last 5. Because the next 5 are gonna be like the last 5 unless you, Major Key, tomorrow, change it all. Or change a little, or change something, or don't change. It's choice time. You can do whatever you want. But it's nice to know any day you wish you can change your whole life.
A lot of us, when we have bad times in life, even the hardest person in the world, we forget how badass we are during that hard time. I have a thing where I take a couple seconds to reflect on, hang on, man, you've been through this, you've been through that, you overcame this, overcame that. I don't ever close my mind to the fact that this can be done. And I knew I had to get up, I needed nutrition, I needed hydration, I needed to stop being dizzy. So that's the first thing I did. I didn't panic on I had 30 more miles to go to get 100. I started about the process.
If you knew what you were doing, then you would be stagnating because you'd be doing nothing new. And so if you're going to do something new, then that is what would be the catalyst for growth. And so you can't want to grow and also want to know everything you're doing at the same time. It's like the two beliefs contradict one another. And so I think that's a lot of the discontent that people suffer from is they want two things that are polar opposites. They want the really strong character, they want the easy life. Like one is the price of the other. You have a hard life to have great character. You have an easy life. You have shitty character. Everything came easy. You want to grow. You don't want hardship. Hardship creates growth. And so they want both, and you can't. Like, it's wanting the Jordans without paying the price.
Brave people, courageous people are not people who are not afraid. They're simply people who master their fears. They're simply people who face their fears, confront their fears. And Mark Twain said it many years ago. He said, with regard to fear, he said, do the thing you fear, and the death of fear is certain. Now, fear and courage tend to be habits. That if you are afraid and you give in to the fear and you back away, it becomes a habit to back away whenever you're afraid or unsure. If you're afraid and you force yourself to confront the fear, it becomes a habit to confront the fear whenever you find something that you're afraid of. And you'll find that most fears disappear when you confront them. And most fears, fears of failure, fears of rejection, fears of loss, fears of pain, fears of limitation, fears of the loss of a relationship, fears of ill health, most of these fears disappear when you confront them head on.